Hello and welcome to episode 46 of GameSpot After Dark, GameSpot's official video game podcast. My name is Jake Decker, your host, and joining me this week is Lucy James.
Hi.
Jean-Luc Seipke.
Hello.
And Kallie Plaguey. How are y'all doing?
Hi. Doing
Good-ish.
Good-ish.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
Another busy week in
Another busy week.
decade of busy weeks.
It truly does feel like E3 is just getting stretched out over weeks and weeks and weeks. And, you know, in my head at the time, I was like, this will be better. It'll just be like, everything will be spread out and, like, it won't be as stressful or condensed. But I don't know. Like, this last weekend, all those conferences that we were doing, it was a lot.
There's like no release, right? Even if like the individual day is less busy, there's no like, oh well, don't worry, like after this week it'll all be over, because instead you have like your weekend and then you're like, I have another week of this, I have to do more.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
miss E3.
I'm sad. It's like the biggest first world problem.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. I definitely miss E3 too, but I don't know, I'm fortunate that, like, I think we're all fortunate we're still working in games and doing something kind of fun at the end of the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it has been fun. Like, there's been a lot of cool projects that we've been on, a lot of cool announcements. Some we can't talk about yet, but we will talk about soon. And some stuff that's already, like, out there. Like, there were a lot of great games during, like, the Guerrilla Collective and the PC Gaming Show and all that kind of stuff.
Did you guys buy that itch.io bundle?
Yes.
I did. Kallie reminded me like an hour before it expired, and I was like, thank God. Will I play any of those games? Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, I went to the office yesterday, so they've changed it completely. We're not allowed in anymore. So, because I'm doing a lot of streaming, they suggested that I pick up my PC from the office, and Greg very kindly drove Jen and I got it, and I was like, well, I've just bought over 1,000 games. Where do I begin downloading them all? And then instead of doing that, I watched a video of a man repairing a painting. So,
Oh, I love those.
Baumgartner Restoration, represent.
They're so good.
They're so good. The ones where he has to, like, stitch them back together by taking off little bits of linen and using it as sutures. Oh my God.
It's incredible. Art.
Literally.
But as far as the game bundle goes, I was really interested in a short hike, so I'm excited.
Me
That was in the
too.
bundle. I haven't played Overland. Night in the Woods was in that bundle, which I would recommend. So there were a lot.
There's a lot of good stuff. I like started to look through it, and I was like, if I keep looking through this, I'm going to be here all night. But
And it
the
raised
few I saw were cool.
It raised $8.1 million.
Oh my God.
Well, they said there as well, because I was looking through, and they said, yep, we know that these aren't organized very well, we're fixing it.
Yeah.
We're going to put in some better cataloging, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I like that the games don't show up in your library until you've, like, engaged with them, so you don't have this, like, 1,700 game long library.
That's good. I like that.
But I guess we should say, like, that bundle was to benefit justice, basically. I think half the proceeds go to bail funds, and half was to the NAACP or something.
I think so, yeah.
And yeah, $8.1 million is like it was staggering. It was also the best gaming deal
Ever.
Yeah.
So
Like Humble Bundle always has like those great deals, but I don't think there's ever been I've seen anything like this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going through those, see what games to play. But speaking of games to play, what games have you all been playing, or shows have you been watching? Lucy, do you want to start?
So I put in Avatar: The Last Airbender because I started watching
James Cameron's.
Not James Cameron, and it's not
Shite mate.
Shite mate. It's actually fantastic, and I love it. And I'm up to start of season 3. But I also forgot that over the weekend I downloaded Horizon Zero Dawn because I really like the look of Forbidden West. I love so much about that game, playing it. Aloy talks to herself to an irritating degree. I want to turn that off.
Ah, she does,
Like,
doesn't she?
It's almost as if they don't trust the player. Like, you gave her a ping system with the focus, so everything in the environment is highlighted for you. She doesn't need to go, like, even that opening bit where she's in that cave and she's going, I need to get out of here to find Rost. And I'm like, bitch, I know. It's the only thing I can do here. You don't need to repeat this to me. And I'd forgotten that I had repressed that anger at Aloy's over communication, because I think I had it with Life is Strange as well. Max in Life is Strange did it a lot, but not to the extent that Aloy does it. And
Wait,
so
is Aloy actually talking out loud, or is she just talking in her head?
Out loud.
it sounds like it's out loud.
Okay.
They don't put any kind of like reverberation on it to make it sound like it's in her head. But I love the movement in that game. I love hunting. I love just running around, and I think the world design is beautiful. The creature design, incredible. The bow play, for lack of a better term, great. Just need her to be quiet. Like, and I'm kind of basically looking for a stopgap game before Last of Us, and so a game like I also haven't played the DLC, so a game like Horizon I can just dip in and out of. That's what I've been doing. Love the look of the trailer of Forbidden West, but shh, Aloy.
And also, Jordan was talking about this in Slack earlier today. Like, the decision to not make Aloy actually native is weird, considering all the native imagery and iconography in the game.
Yeah.
And I know there's story reasons for that, but it's like they got all the way there except to just make her native. Which I think is a really good point.
Or just not use that native imagery. Like,
right.
we're like, if you want to have her be the way she is for this specific story reason, like, I get that. But then it's like, why did you need to make... Like, I don't know. It always, like, it's like that weird thing of, like, society collapsed and they rebuilt and they happened to use the exact same imagery as these other cultures. And it's like, what? No, like, that doesn't make... Wouldn't they have, like, their own original look? Like, I don't know. I always think that's weird that, like, they just happen to also look a lot like other specific cultures from long ago.
I
Like,
genuinely
that's just
never
a
even...
thing.
I didn't even consider that, honestly, until I saw Jordan bring it up earlier, and I was like, oh my god, that's so right. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Horizon and Avatar.
I want to go back to Horizon.
I do want to do the DLC.
I really liked Horizon Zero Dawn. I didn't finish the DLC, but I couldn't tell you what happened in the story of that game. But
And I
all
never
remember,
finished it.
all I remember is I thought the combat was so much fun just because you were like, especially later in the game when you were taking out these giant machines where you had to switch to the right arrow to take off the right part, and then you'd knock that part off and that would change the battle, so you'd switch what you were using, or like you could shoot off a gun on a I don't know, metal T-Rex or whatever, and just that back and forth and the way the time slows when you switch between weapons. Like I thought it all felt super good. Like I had so much fun just taking down monsters, which is what I'm most excited for in the sequel. And I'm excited to see what they do with San Francisco, because I saw someone on Twitter like pull a lot of screenshots of like the ferry building destroyed and whatnot, and like put those next to each other, and it looks super neat. Like I'm curious how they're going to do that, especially when you consider, I think they said the map is supposed to be from like Utah to San Francisco or something. So like I wonder what the scale is actually going to be in that.
Well, so I think the original game's map was also like 4 different states kind of compressed into one as well. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like crazy huge, but
they did say it was going to be much bigger though.
Okay.
I want to see what
first map.
Salesforce Tower's like. What's our office like, actually?
Underwater.
What our office is going to be like? Because it's basically going to be like what it'll be. It'll be similar to what it'll be like when we actually are allowed to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just nature's reclaimed it.
If I get to pillage our office underwater, that would be incredible.
That was good.
Oh no!
Oh
all
wow,
my
an
plushies!
Alienware.
Just a pile of Callie's plushies floating.
No.
Floating
I'm
around.
worried about them. I'm so worried about my tiny figurines. What if they fell off the desk and got vacuumed up? I won't know for months. I'm so scared.
I'm sure they're all fine.
It's all fine.
I have many.
You have a lot.
A respectable collection. Jean-Luc, what have you been up to?
Well, the game I played, I can't talk about this week, unfortunately. But I... It was like Callie's like thinking. So instead, I actually checked out a couple of demos that came out for some games. Ultrakill and System Shock. They were part of the Guerrilla Collective over the weekend, last weekend. And they both looked really interesting. So I was like, oh, they have free demos, so I'll check them out. I don't know if you're familiar with... So Ultrakill, it's another one of those in the vein of like, it's trying to emulate like 90s shooters, you know, your Dooms and your Quakes. There's been a lot of those recently. But what makes this one really cool is that it has like a Devil May Cry scoring system. And it's going for this like very ultra fast, you know, I'm trying to think of like another game's like speed equivalent. Like imagine like the speed that you could like get in like Quake Arena, but then you are expected to do like Devil May Cry combos, and you can like infinitely slide like in Apex Legends, and it's all about just like this small rooms where you get in, and then these enemies come out, and you're just like doing these fast things like really quick. It's got a Hotline Miami vibe where if you die, it's just like, oh nope, you're just right back in it, and you just kind of keep going. It's really hard, but it's really, really like frenetic and fun. The abilities are like insane in that they're all about just trying to like combo, like trying to be cool as possible. So for example, there's a hand cannon, and one of the alternate abilities is you flick a coin in the air, and if you shoot the coin, it'll ricochet and immediately hit and kill an enemy. But you have to actually physically aim at the coin, and the coin has its own physics, so it like moves. So it's really, really hard to actually like nail that shot. But if you do it, you feel like the like coolest person in the world.
Imagine trying to do that on console.
Oh my god.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to make the coin a lot bigger.
Auto aim so strict.
It's just really, really fun. Like I don't know, I've tried a lot of those kind of games that are trying to like recapture the spirit of like, you know, all those 90 shooters, and there's been some pretty good ones. There's kind of been some like hit or miss, but I think I like this one because it's more that it's just using the aesthetic to be as visually simple as possible, so that you can just focus on like how insane the action is. And then the demo takes a really weird turn at the end, because the whole thing is you're going through hell. I think it says something like hell is full and you have to kill everyone.
And all the demons are here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so the beginning, it's like there's like a prologue chapter that you do, which is like the first couple levels, and then you do like the first level of Limbo, and it like takes this complete turn where it's like, you know, very sunny and has like a very different vibe. And then there's suddenly no combat, and you do a bunch of Witness style puzzles. Like it straight up has like the panels, and you're doing like the slidey block puzzles. And I just did that for like 10 minutes, and it's like this escalating like actually like really good Witness style puzzles. And I was like, what is going on in this game? Like I thought you were just like killing things. And then right after that, it just goes right back to that. And then the demo ends. And I was like, okay, all right. Yeah.
Interesting. How long did it take you to finish the demo?
Probably like 20, maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's a lot in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe just like 20, but it's a substantial demo. It went on longer than I thought, and it really gives you a good sense of the game. And now I'm just like, I'm so curious if that game's gonna like have even weirder shit in it, because I was not expecting there to be like puzzle elements to it.
Yeah. So when we were taking notes and that game trailer came up, it didn't say the name of the game at a certain point, but it had the website, and the website was
Yes.
Devil May Quake.
Devil May
so
Quake.
we thought those of us on editorial who are taking notes thought for a minute that it was called Devil May Quake, and we were like I was sitting there like, can they do that?
Is that allowed?
So obviously it's not called that.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they did call it that because that's an amazing name, but I think yeah, they realized they couldn't.
Was that? Go ahead.
Can I just do a quick tangent
Yeah.
about one of my favorite Tumblr posts of all time, which is
I know the one.
which is Devil May Happy, and somebody was like, wouldn't it be Devil May Smile? And the OP says, critique my post again and Devil May Angry.
I that's good. I was gonna say was Devil May Quake from like that section where that guy came on who was like, we hate money, here are our games, and like here's
I don't remember. I know it was in the trailer
I
because it's the
have it
website.
open, one
It's the
sec.
website you go to, which is just a link to their Steam page. It just goes right to the Steam page for it.
because he had a bunch of stuff like go to notfortnite.com for this thing and stuff, and it just felt super weird and out of place.
They just bought a bunch of really weird URLs.
Yeah, and like directed people to those, and then it ended with him being like, we hate money, and then it just went back and
No,
okay.
it was before the 11-bit studio section.
Okay, it was the 11-bit studio that
Yeah.
section of that. All right.
Well,
anyway, you also been playing System Shock as well. I know
Yeah.
you're a big fan of the original, and you've been. I mean, I think one of your first videos you made for GameSpot was about the System Shock remake. If I remember correctly.
It was, yeah. So like Nighttime Studios, they're doing a remake of the original System Shock, and yeah, they made a Kickstarter back in 2016. And it came with its own demo that was like a pre-alpha demo. It was like a 15-minute opening slice of the game, and it was, as Jake said, it was one of the first videos I ever did was comparing it. So it was real wild going back and playing this new demo, where it's now like the entire first area of the game. It's the entire medical wing, so it's actually a really long demo. It could take you anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour to play. So you're getting a really good, substantial look at the game. And I don't know, it's so good. It's like, it's System Shock. It's an immersive sim. It's like exactly what I love. And like, I think they've just done such like a fantastic job with it. Like it looks really good. It feels great. I love the art style. It uses this, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the textures kind of have like a pixelated look, so it kind of gives like a PlayStation 1 vibe, but it feels very modern. It feels like a good compromise to like, this is clearly like, could only be made today, but also like pays homage to the aesthetic of that original game. Not 100%, but I think they still used all the original voice actors, or at least they sound very similar. Like Shodan sounds the exact same. It's just I don't know. Like I don't know if I have anything like to say that isn't like been said a billion times about System Shock, but I think I'm just like really excited because the original System Shock kind of gets left behind when people talk about all the Shock games. Like everyone talks about like, obviously BioShock and those games, but like System Shock 2 is the big System Shock game everyone talks about, but it's like System Shock 1, it's not great to play now because the control scheme was terrible. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that game, but like you open it up and it's like, it's got like 50 billion different like UI menus, and you can't even use the mouse to move originally. Like it was an absolute mess of a game to play, but the actual game is really, really good. Like it still holds up. Like it still has all of those like things that you love about BioShock, like the writing on the wall, your audio logs of people dying horribly, like finding different stuff. It even has like those Metroidvania like elements where you pick up an item and then you can go back to a different area. And that game actually came out before Super Metroid, so it's like it did Metroidvania before Metroidvania existed, which is like really crazy.
You gonna rename the genre for us?
Exactly. System Vania Roid. Nailed it.
Hey, that was better than I would have done. I'm looking forward to playing it because, like you're saying, as someone who has heard about mostly System Shock 2 and, you know, loves the original BioShock, it's still gotta play BioShock 2 and even like Prey.
You haven't played BioShock 2?
I haven't played BioShock 2.
BioShock
I got it on
should.
Switch though.
Oh,
Just
Played
for
one.
Minerva's Den. That
That's
DLC
what I wanna
is
play.
it's worth it for
banger.
that.
So I've played BioShock 1 multiple times, and I've played BioShock Infinite multiple times, and I've tried 2 a couple times, but I never actually finished it. But I do own it on PS4, PC, Switch. There's probably more, probably 360 too at some point. So I really have no excuse to have not played it, but I really do want to at least do Minerva's Den.
I'm still completely unspoiled on Bioshock.
That is mad.
Small
I'm
BioShock.
amazed.
Small BioShock 2 tangent. I actually did play that last weekend. I started it up because I was like, for whatever reason, I was feeling an itch, and I was like, I want to play BioShock 2. Like, I love that game. I got all the way up to the end of, not the first level, like the level after, where you're going through like the Andrew Ryan's like museum. I don't know if you remember that.
I played it a couple months ago, so
the game crashed.
Yep.
And that game does not have autosaves.
Nope.
And I lost an hour of progress, and I just went, all right, well, I guess I'm done playing BioShock 2.
Did you play the collection?
Yes.
On
I was playing it on PC, but it was the remastered version.
the collection is not great.
No,
On
it's
Switch?
it's really
No,
buggy.
is in like the PS4 version.
Oh, I've heard it's not. Yeah,
I
I've
had-
heard it's not good.
So I remember years ago when it first came out, it wouldn't let me download BioShock Infinite because Infinite was a separate download. It would let me do BioShocks 1 and 2, but I couldn't get Infinite. And then that fixed itself, or I assume it was patched. And then a few months ago, I was playing BioShock 2 because I was on Jared Petty's podcast talking about BioShock 2. And I had the exact same thing happen to me with Minerva's Den, except I lost 3 hours.
Oh,
Oh
my God.
no.
And I was like, well, let's speed run this section. I just knocked it down to easy and just like blasted through it. But
It's even
not
worse on BioShock though, because like I was meticulously picking up every little audio log, and I was reading it, and I was finding all this ammo, and I felt so good.
Question for you guys. What's the longest amount of progress you've lost to something like that? Mine's 8 hours.
Oh my God, with what?
It was just a game of Civ 5 that I was playing, and I didn't save for 8 hours, and then my computer crashed.
Oh my god!
It was like when that phase where I would just stay in my room,
Just playing
and
Civ.
play Civ,
I-
and yeah.
I definitely lost at least 4 hours playing the original Mass Effect, because that
Oh,
game
that was gonna
also
be mine,
had
too.
had no. I think it was like the mission where you find the Rachni Queen or something. Like I remember
Oh, Novaria.
like dying or something happened, and then like I loaded it back up, and it was like the very beginning of that planet, and I was like
Yeah.
devastated.
I had a similar thing with Mass Effect. I think I played like 5 hours. I was exploring everything, talking to everyone. I was so excited because it was Mass Effect had just come out. I've been waiting for that game forever. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go to a planet. And I went to a planet, and a Thresher Maw showed up and wiped my party. And I was like, all right, I'll just reload.
Yeah.
And then it just like, there's nothing to load. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have to start a new game. Luckily, I was in like junior high or high school or whatever, and I had nothing but time. So I started
Right.
up and did it again
Yeah.
anyway. But still, I remember being like, are you serious?
Mass Effect, God, I remember the autosaves being really bad before boss fights. I remember when you rescue Liara and there are there's the Krogan, like,
Yes.
guy, and if you fail that boss fight, if you fail that fight, you have to do the conversation over and over and over again. And unfortunately, I got really stuck on that fight, and so I had to do that over and over and over again, and it was 2007, man. We should have been. But the most I lost was actually that BioShock Minerva's Den, because I was conditioned from a younger age, because I had a really shitty PC and I would play The Sims a lot. And if I didn't meticulously save every 10 or so minutes, it would probably crash. Sometimes it would crash while saving.
Jeez.
So I'm one of those people who saves, and then I'll just save again just to be
I
sure.
used to be like that, but I think I just haven't played a game where I've needed to do that in a while, so I've gone soft. And then after that, I immediately was like, okay, where's the quick save key for Bioshock?
The best game, on console at least, for saving was Dishonored 2. Is Dishonored 2. It had quick save and load in the pause menu, on the triggers. Perfect. Because I was save scumming my way through that game.
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory had that too. I remember that being a game changer for the Splinter Cell series, because like before there were just checkpoints, and you know, if you're playing that very slowly and meticulously and you die, it's like now I got to go back like 4 or 5 encounters. But with Chaos Theory, they added that quick save, and
I think
that
Mass
was
Effect
nice.
3 they added one like on console where if you like held the back button, it would like
Oh, I think
autosave.
you're
Because I
right.
think they knew. Because that was like such
Yeah.
an issue with that series. They were like, we'll add the thing for console people.
I've
I,
always been... Sorry.
I was just gonna say I had like 80 hours in Pokemon Fire Red, and I dropped my Game Boy Advance SP, and it landed on the cart, and it shut everything down, and I was like, I hope this saved. Turned it on, you know, you get the whole new game thing show up, and I was like, I was so mad.
But you lost it all?
Yeah, it was all gone.
Why wasn't that your answer?
that
That's the worst.
Well, because I didn't think about it until now. I was much younger, and also
Oh my
like
God.
I didn't think about like me losing save I don't know. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
user error, right? Like nothing shut down. I just was a dumb kid and dropped it on the ground.
Jeez.
That's
I
stressful.
was just going to say I've always been really neurotic about saving. And I'm the kind of person that I'm like, I save my game and then I'm like, did I save? And then I save again. The Civ example had autosave, but for some reason didn't autosave what I needed. Maybe that was part of the crash.
Maybe. But also,
It sucked. I had
I'd-
Mount Fuji as Japan.
working in Premiere Pro, I don't do so much editing anymore. But
Oh, yeah.
when I first got Premiere, the autosave is like automatically set at 15 minutes, I
Yeah.
think.
It was. I think now it
Yeah,
does it more
now-
often.
You switch
No,
it to
I
like
think
30
it's-
seconds,
yeah.
however low it'll go. You change
I
it.
just I change it to 5 minutes every time I start fresh, because 5 minutes is like I can do that.
Yeah, you want to talk about real devastating save loss.
Oh no.
Premiere projects. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just work. Yeah, work.
Yeah.
Losing
I've
a
definitely-
whole
that's
day's
happened to
edit
me.
has happened to me, and it's just you just
Like-
you just go home. You just go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be like 4:30 on a Friday, and I'll be almost done with the review, and then it'll crash, and for some reason I won't have any backup saves, and it'll be like, well, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of random clips into this review. I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks.
Well, that hasn't happened. That hasn't happened in a very long time. And honestly, I was pretty new at GameSpot, so I probably just stayed till like midnight, making sure it was okay, which I don't recommend. Don't stay at work till midnight unless you have to.
No.
Anyway, moving on. I guess I'll talk about one thing I've been playing, and then we can talk a little about Pokemon, Kallie. And then we're not going to talk too much about Last of Us, because we talked about it a lot last week. Jean-Luc and Lucy haven't played it, and we're also going to have a spoiler chat go up this weekend.
And you can
So-
read both my spoiler-free review and my review with some spoilers.
Correct.
So have fun with that.
So there's a ton of places that we're going to be talking about Last of Us, or that we've already talked about Last of Us, so you can check that out now. But anyway, the other game I've been playing other than Pokemon right now is Persona 4 Golden on PC. I don't have a whole lot to say other than it's still very good. I just finished Yukiko's Palace, so I'm still pretty early.
Best girl.
But I'm having a lot of fun with the difficulty settings, because I've played like 70% of that game on Vita and I never finished it, so I like made it as easy as possible so I could burn through all the palaces as fast as I could. And I did Yukiko's Palace in one day, which
Nice.
isn't super impressive since it's the first palace, but I'll take what I can get.
I'm like hovering on the edge of playing it through again. But it took me 2 years because I had a gnarly commute and I had my Vita, and that's how I played Persona 4. But also I wonder if Persona 5 and all the quality of life improvements in 5 maybe have ruined me from going back.
I don't think so. At least
I don't
not
think so.
for me.
No.
Because I played it last year for the first time with my girlfriend, which is kind of a bummer because I'm like, oh man, could have played this version, but it's okay. But I think for one, I think those games are just mechanically different enough that like it's more that like I don't know, like the quality of life changes don't feel as it doesn't feel as dramatic, I would say, from like say like 3 to 4, which felt like pretty dramatic. Also, I think that the game's characters and story are just like hold up on their own so much. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think each Persona game has its own strengths that make them worth going back to. Except you can't control your party members directly in 3, and that is terrible.
It is terrible.
You can't.
No, not in the original version of 3. The PSP version you can, but it also loses. I don't want to get into it, but all I'm saying is there's no definitive version of Persona 3, and they need to make it, and that is why Atlas should remake Persona 3. If you're listening, Atlas, give me Persona 3 remastered.
We'll forward this podcast to him.
Please do.
What is it? Just atlas@gmail.com, right? That's it.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
.jp.
Cool. No. Yeah.
.jp. Sorry to whoever has that email address.
atlas@gmail.com.
But anyway, like I said, I don't have a whole lot to say about Persona 4 Golden other than that I am excited to be playing it again, and I'm happy it's on PC. I hope this means that we'll see some Atlas games on PC, maybe even Switch. Like, the crazy thing about playing it on PC is that as I was playing it on PC, this is really dumb, but as I was playing on PC, I was like, man, I wish this was on Switch. I'd rather play this portably.
There's something real weird about having like a graphic settings in a Persona game and like mouse and keyboard controls.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is weird. This doesn't feel right.
Did not do mouse and keyboard. Immediately I plugged in a controller. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. But even on an Xbox controller, it feels kind of weird.
A nice little tiny touch. This is like so small, but I like when games do this. It actually changes the button icons depending which controller you plug in.
I like that a lot too.
I like that. Small little thing, but I like when games do that.
So the big thing, which came out today, well, it came out Wednesday. If you're listening to this now, it's Friday. But Kallie and I have been playing some of the Isle of Armor DLC. I played about an hour today. I'm not sure much you got to play, Kallie.
Not much, but I did a preview session last week where I saw the first 40-ish minutes. So we've probably played / seen the same amount of the game.
I'd say so. Right now I'm very excited and enjoying it just because there are so many more Pokemon to catch, and like at the end of the day, that's what I wanted to do the most, was just catch more Pokemon and have more Pokemon to build teams with. I can't really speak on the story because, like I said, I've only played an hour, but it seems very Pokemon-y. Like it's not that deep, but it doesn't really need to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's cute. You kind of get roped in a very anime protagonist style into joining this dojo, and it's run by a couple named Honey and Mustard. Aww. And Mustard he kind of is like the King Boomy of Pokemon.
I understood that reference.
Yeah. I did not.
From Avatar.
Okay.
He's like quirky and wacky, but he has a point to what he's doing. So he has everybody at the dojo kind of doing these, like, they seem like otherwise menial tasks, but it's one of those like, oh, I'm a dojo master and I know what you need to get better or whatever kind of vibe. And so you have to like catch these like slowpoke he's trained to be especially fast, which is really silly and also like I think really clever because you can train Pokemon to be faster or have better attack or better defense. Like you can customize the Pokemon that way within the game. So it's kind of cool that it's like these are the fastest Slowpoke you'll ever see. And they even have Salak Berry, which when it's one of those, it's called a pinch berry. It's activated when the Pokemon's low on health, and the Salak Berry increases speed when the Pokemon eats it. So they're like just fully speed spec Slowpoke, which you would never do ever. That doesn't make any sense. But like it's cute. And it kind of just drives home like this is you can make a Pokemon like the fastest it could be. So I thought that was clever. You have to go hunting for mushrooms and stuff for him. He and Honey give you either a Squirtle or a Bulbasaur that can eventually Gigantamax when you fully evolve them. So that's kind of like the basic, like that's the starting point of it. And the leveling also scales to where you're at when you start the DLC. So you can start it basically, you only have to play the main game for about an hour. Once you hit the wild area in the main game, you can then travel to the Isle of Armor, and the Pokemon's levels will be appropriate to your level the same way they are in the wild area. So that's pretty cool. And the Pokemon, too, aren't locked behind the DLC. Anybody can get those Pokemon in their Pokedex now. There was an update released alongside the DLC. So, yeah, it's exciting. Pokemon doesn't really get DLC, so that's just exciting. It's kind of uncharted territory.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having fun with it. I really like the wild area, this new wild area, because it seems like they've learned a lot from the original wild area, and this one's already so much more interesting. Like, there are caves, there are forests, like coastlines. The diversity there's way more diversity, and it's a lot more interesting to explore so far, in my opinion. And, like, I don't know, it's just exciting to walk around and see old Pokemon again that weren't in the game. Like, I caught a Rockruff, which I've already evolved into a Lycanroc. I caught there's Rockruff. I caught an Abra, which is one of my favorite Pokemon originally. I'm still trying to find Shinx, because I know Shinx is in there, but I haven't found Shinx yet. But yeah, as of now, I mean, it's just more Pokemon, and so far that seems like a pretty good thing. I will say,
go ahead.
The Slowpokes in the wild area, when you have to get them, they're like going so fast. There's a dust trail behind them, and like the sound they make is really funny. Like, you almost have to, like, you can't chase them. You just have to figure out their path and cut them off.
Yeah, it's really silly. I was gonna say the other thing that's really cool about it is the music. It's like,
oh yeah, you told me this beforehand.
So the music really caught my attention because it is a remix of the stereo. I don't know how to describe it.
Stereophonics?
No,
that's a joke for British people listening.
it's the, like, everybody was kung fu fighting tune.
By
like that tune.
Who sings on Everybody?
But and so at first I was kind of like, oh, interesting choice. But then I was like, well, Japanese people made this game and wrote the music, so
interesting.
But the remix is like such a banger. It's like, like I was just like, let's go! I'm ready to fight. Like, so it's kind of silly, but it's I enjoyed it a lot.
Another cool thing too, I don't know if you saw that far, but maybe they had already said it, but you can turn any Pokemon into Gigantamax now.
Oh, yeah. There's like
which is kind of cool.
It's super cool. There's this is the thing with Sword and Shield is they give you so much to turn any old Pokemon into a Pokemon you want to use. Like, if you have a shiny Charizard, now you can make that a shiny Gigantamax Charizard. Like, that's so freaking cool. It's Max Soup is the like the food item that does it. And that's one of the things when you're looking for the mushrooms for mustard, for, I don't know, sensei mustard? I don't know. He is like, oh, I need them to make Max Soup. So that's part of it. You get new clothing options, new hairstyle options.
Oh, now we're talking. Ooh.
Yeah, baby. Like a cute ass bun. Like there's like this like swoopy fade thing going on. Like there's a lot of cool stuff.
That's all I care about.
And this is, I mean, I'm finishing up the Last of Us review, the spoiler version of that, so I haven't had time yet today to actually play. So there's a lot that I'm still going to delve into, and I am doing a review of Isle of Armor. I'm going to do that as quickly as is physically possible for me to do. Or mentally possible, probably is more accurate. But yeah, I mean, I play Animal Crossing every day. I'm fully obsessed with Animal Crossing, so it's a little bit like I will never put down my Switch ever again because now I'm playing Pokemon also. But it's kind of nice. I kind of needed this after The Last of Us, so...
I was gonna say, in terms of tonal whiplash, I don't think you could get anything more opposite.
Yeah, and it's funny because the comments, I always get comments that are like, just go back to playing Pokemon, you don't like violence, you stupid girl. And I'm like, well, I mean, Pokemon is about making animals fight each other. but you know, it's colorful and friendly about it. That's nice.
Which, if you think about it, is actually even more disturbing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go call PETA right now.
Well, anyway, let's move on to topics for this week. The big thing that happened last week that we tried to guess was the PS5 reveal event. I don't remember what I guessed last week, other than that we'd see Horizon 2, which I was right. That's why
I would have been very,
it.
very surprised if Horizon 2 hadn't.
Yeah, been there.
I didn't guess anything, so I can't be wrong.
I don't remember what anyone else guessed, and they're not here to tell me what they guessed, so I guess.
So we were all correct.
But anyway, speaking of the PS5 reveal event, why don't we just say what our favorite announcement was, and we can kind of kick off a conversation from there, because there was a lot of cool stuff, I would say. Jean-Luc, do you want to start?
I love the dumb look of the PS5. I think it looks so stupid, and I am so excited to have it on my shelf.
I was on the pre and post show, and afterwards I was clearly in a state of hype, and I was talking about, like, damn, she thick. My boyfriend texted me after, and it was like, do you want to have sex with that PlayStation 5? Like, you are describing it in a weird way. And I was like, I don't know, I was just excited. She's got curves, man. What do you want from me? But I
like how the one with the disc drive is a little lopsided too.
Well,
that's just how
Dude,
some
she got
people
the
are.
booty.
It's weird. Like, the one on the disc side is lopsided when it's standing up, but when you put it down, it kind of works. When you put the one without the disc drive down, it then has this. Whoop! I bumped my mic. Has this gap in the bottom that looks really weird. So it's like, it doesn't work perfectly either way. Like, it's such a mess. I love it. I love it with all my heart. Like, I'm such a fan of, like, weird ass consoles. It looks huge. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I'm excited for it.
Someone's made an AR thing you can do, and you can see, because people have figured out, based on disk drive size, how big the console would be, and they've made an AR that you can place the PS5 in your house. And I'm like, I'm just lucky that I have an open top entertainment unit, because if I was trying to fit it into some kind of pre-made shelving unit, I don't know.
It will not fit in my shelf, so I do need to figure something out.
Asymmetry bothers me a lot, and I don't know if I'll be able to handle the PS5 in its current form. I can't fuck
Well, you
with
could
it.
get the no disc drive one. That's more symmetrical. That is symmetrical, right?
Yeah, that's symmetrical.
I mean,
but then it's like, then you won't have a disc drive.
Which you might genuinely need for your job.
Yeah.
If they send you disc code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. I wasn't able to watch the presentation because I was working on the spoiler-free Last of Us review. So, I've seen Bugsnax and I've seen Horizon. And
Why
then
is everyone obsessed with Bugsnax?
The song, man. In our house, like, you'll just hear through the wall sometimes Jen or Greg going, Bugsnax. I was hoping that they would hear me and do it, because they are in the kitchen.
Waiting for a callback like Marco Polo.
But it just happens, like, all the time. There have been a lot of good memes of people putting the Bugsnax song over movie trailers. Someone put it over the Joker one, which I did think was pretty funny.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But I liked, someone was at Game Rant yesterday wrote an article where it was like, what if Bugsnax is secretly like a horror game where you eat sentient foodstuffs?
I was expecting the trailer to take a dark turn, because it was like so happy, and it's like, yeah, and there's these bugs, and that bug looks like a taco, and I'm like, it's gonna get weird. Like, I mean, like, weirder, and So I don't know. I entertain that theory.
Are you are you picturing like Seth Rogen's Sausage Party? Is that
well,
I try and clear that movie from my brain.
Not horribly offensive and bad, but like it takes like a weird horror turn, like when they the game's about to come out and then the ESRB's like, yeah, this game's rated M, and everyone's like, what?
For mature themes.
Kallie, you said you didn't see the presentation as a whole, but was there anything any trailers or something that may have stood out, or news?
I just really don't like the PS5. That's all I got.
All right, how about you, Lucy?
Well, I know it was already announced, but Deathloop, seeing more of that.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Like anything Arcane touches, I will be all over. I genuinely it was fun being, because we were kind of I was on a stream with Michael and Tam, and the reactions to Miles Morales, even though the messaging after that was a bit all over the place, and Tam I can easily say that Demon Souls reveal was the highlight of his stream. Overall, I think it was a really good mix of AAA. There was some usual suspects that I felt were missing. Like, I fully expected COD, especially because they just updated Season 4 of Warzone that day, and people were saying, oh, there's clues being left, and I fully expected COD, but it was fun. What was that game that looked like Pixar?
I know you're talking
Kenna?
about. Yeah, Kenna.
Yeah, that looks cute.
Cool.
That looks looks like a mix of Breath of the Wild, Pixar, and I don't know, like magic stuff in there too. Maybe a bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. Not to be reductive, I haven't really seen much else of the game, but it was cool. Like, I think that's Sony's best conference since E3 2015, easily, which was the Final Fantasy VII Last Guardian year. Oh, and Resi 8.
Oh yes! Oh my
Yeah,
god, that's maybe
great.
the game that I'm the most excited for out of that whole thing. That game looked incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Resident Evil 8 was definitely mine, but I would probably say Demon Souls as well, if not more, just because part of it is because I've been replaying the Souls games, the Soulsborne games recently, and I've never played Demon Souls. I had no plan to play Demon Souls because I wasn't going to track down a PS3, and I just figured I'd never play that game unless there was a remake, so I'm very excited that there's a remake, and it looks great based on the trailer. I'm super excited to see more. I'm especially curious to see another studio tackle a From Software game, because I feel like From Software games have such a distinct feel to them and like the way they play. So I'm curious to see if, like, I don't know, I guess like how much Blue Point can match that, or maybe try something kind of different, but also it can't be too different, because then it wouldn't. I don't know. That would be a terrifying game to remake if you're not From Software. But regardless, I'm still excited. I thought it looked beautiful, and it was definitely, like, even though I think we all knew it was going to happen, it was still exciting to see that.
Yeah, I'm so curious if they're going to add or change anything, because I think they've said that it's a more dramatic it's not going to be quite like Shadow, where it was like very faithful. Like, I think they said they're going to like change some things or add some stuff. I know people were speculating, like, there's a whole area of that game that got cut, where you go to this like snow like area that was like home to like the giants, and there's actually a good Vati video where he like talked about that. And I was like, oh right, I forgot about that. So some people were like speculating, like, what if they put that back in the game? I don't necessarily want to get my hopes up too much that they're going to do something as dramatic as that, but I'm really curious if they're actually going to like take the opportunity to add or change anything, because there are some.
They didn't for Shadow, because there was a lot of when we interviewed them for audio logs last year. There's a lot of stuff in Shadow. Ueda-san originally had ideas for, I think it was 24 Colossi instead of the
48 at one point.
Yeah,
and
they left some stuff in the game, and there's like the garden at the top that you can get to if you platform up in a very specific way, even though there's nothing there. And like, there's all these rumors about the 17th Colossus, and they didn't put any of that in. the only thing they put in was like that new collectible with
The sword,
a new,
right?
And then the sword, which was a reference to one of their community members, like Nomad, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in terms of like changing things, obviously they changed the control scheme to modernize it. I wonder how, like you said, I just wonder how much they would. I wonder what From's involvement was. From the sounds of it,
Right.
the original Shadow team wasn't that involved in the remake, aside from handing over things. I wonder if From has any oversight, and I wonder if they are going to put cut stuff back in.
Yeah,
'Cause that'd be really cool.
That would be awesome. And two, like, unlike Shadow of the Colossus, there have been multiple Souls games after Demon Souls that have refined and added and changed and done all this stuff. So, like, I imagine it couldn't just be, like, they'd have to do something with the gameplay. They couldn't just leave it as is, otherwise it would still probably feel dated.
Like an easy example is like the roll in that game is much more limited in terms of like how many directions you can roll in compared to later games. So they could add like, you know, they could make the roll more dynamic. Like that's like a really small thing that like you would hope they would add just to make it like feel more modern. But
there was a really cool thing from when we were talking with them that so the Blue Point engine is cool, and it basically runs their version of the game and the original version of the game at the same time. And there was a really cool thing that they were saying that like some of the coding in the original version of Shadow was so cool that they just like kept it. So I think on Wanda's poncho, he has these little fringe things around his belt, and that's the original coding from PS2 Shadow that they used in the PS4 version.
Dang.
I saw Vati speculating because they, I guess, at one point there was a description. I forget if it was like in the trailer, like the YouTube trailer description. Like they took it out, but it said like it mentioned a thing called fractured mode, which is not a thing from the original game at all. And the fact that they took it out, I don't know if that means like that's they didn't want to talk about it, or if like that's not correct. Like who knows? Like I don't want to like say that's definitely a thing, but he was kind of speculating like, well, what could that even be? And one of the things he was saying like was, what if they let you actually switch between like the OG art style, like in the new one, like in the vein of the Halo.
Master Chief.
Yeah, because some people have been kind of complaining about how like the new art style loses some of the atmosphere, and I can certainly understand some of those arguments with certain areas. So that would be cool. I don't know if they would actually do that. That sounds like a lot of work, and I don't know if their engine is capable of going that far with it, but that'd be neat.
Well, anyway, the next thing we have here is Pokemon Snap, which was announced today. New Pokemon Snap, right? Did you guys play Pokemon Snap at all? The original?
I did.
I'm wearing a goddamn Pikachu shirt and I never played it.
You didn't have an N64.
I didn't have
The real question is, did you guys have a Blockbuster that had that kiosk you could go and print out your Pokemon Snap stuff to?
I don't think so.
I have no
mine
recollection.
definitely didn't.
Oh, so like you could go to the Blockbuster and they had like a machine, and you could like bring your memory card, and it would like print out your photos for you.
What?
Yeah.
That's really
Oh,
cool.
no way.
Man,
Yeah.
That's what I get for going to Hollywood Video.
And because I never owned an N64, I played the game at my friend's house, but I remember like going to the Blockbuster and seeing it and being like, oh my god, I wish I had this game, because I would totally do that. So I never actually got to print them out myself, unfortunately. But I did see that machine, and I was like, man, I wish I could do that.
That's awesome. I think I only, speaking of Blockbuster and stuff, I don't think I ever owned Pokemon Snap. I think I must have rented it. We rented most of our games back then. Back in the day.
Back then.
We had to walk 13 miles to the Blockbuster
In the
Video.
snow. Hollywood Video, actually.
The Hollywood Video in my case, which was actually extremely close to my house. It would have taken about 2 minutes for me to go there. Yeah, so my memory of it is not very strong. I don't have the same attachment to it that a lot of people do. I played a lot of Pokemon spin-off games on the GameCube. That's where like there were some real interesting ones, like Pokemon Channel. But I didn't do too many. I had Pokemon Stadium and stuff, but Pokemon Snap I don't think we owned, or if we did, I don't remember it. But it is actually called New Pokemon Snap, and it looks really good. I'm excited.
So is it a brand new game, or is it just a remake?
It is a new game, and it is inspired by the N64 classic.
Ooh.
Okay.
According to the Pokemon Company.
Interesting.
I'm kind of with you, Kallie, in that. Like, I remember playing it as a kid, but I don't think I ever owned it, so I didn't really have much of an attachment to it. I do remember from my Nintendo 64 getting Hey You Pikachu, which was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
But because like you were supposed to talk to Pikachu, but nothing worked. It was I don't know. It was just a little kid screaming into a headset and nothing actually happening. Just
Pikachu!
Like online games today, you know?
I'm Jake.
I think the coolest thing about Pokemon Snap is how it encouraged that sort of like rumor, a lot of like the rumor, like playground rumor stuff, where because it would be very much like no, you got to throw your apple like right into that, you know, like volcano, and then it like explodes, and like that's where like, you know, Magmar comes out of, and like it had that kind of like, oh, I got to go home and try this, like to see if I can find that. So like I'm really excited to like play the game and like see what kind of like weird inventive like secrets they have, like how you can find weird examples of Pokemon.
I saw someone posted a GIF. I don't know if it's real, but it looked like it was from Pokemon Snap, of like going next to a volcano, and I think there was like a Charmeleon like walking around next to it, and someone threw an apple at him and he fell into the volcano. And I was like, if this is real, this is hilarious. I should look into that, but I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm excited just to see what a Pokemon Snap game is going to look like in 2020. Like that alone has me interested. I definitely wasn't one of those people asking for Pokemon Snap during every Pokemon event, like many people usually do. So I'm very excited that those people will finally get a sequel to Pokemon Snap, or a new Pokemon Snap called New Pokemon Snap.
Say New Pokemon Snap one more time, I dare you.
Yeah.
New Pokemon Snap.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Jake, that was totally legit. You have to like
you can push him in.
You have to push him in, and then he evolves into Charmeleon, and then you push him in again, and he evolves into Charizard.
Man, that poor Charmander.
Aw.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'm. There is going to be another announcement next week, which is interesting. I don't know why they saved it. I'm like, it. Like, I am one of the people that asks for Johto remakes every announcement, so I'm like, when are we getting a Johto remake? Even though we've already had a Johto remake, and Gen 4 hasn't had a remake, but Gen 4 is the worst gen, so nobody cares.
I forget who it was, but there was somebody on Twitter
a lot of people care, just not me.
Who is saying that like, I guess all the Pokemon plushies behind, I forget who.
They're all Johto.
And everyone's like, those are all Johto Pokemon.
So the thing about that is there was a relatively recent line of Johto plushies. So last year, the Pokemon Company had like this whole Gen 1 plushie line where they had a plush for every single Pokemon from the original 151. And they're doing that again with Gen 2. So it could just be related to that. But there was like a Let's Go Eevee box, and it was an Eevee, an Espeon, and an Umbreon. So I'm gonna go full conspiracy theorist. I'm like, yes.
And they definitely filmed whatever happened next week on the same day, like for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of Johto Pokemon. Like, it's not even just that one line. There's like a line of, it's a lot of legendaries. You see like the legendary dogs and stuff. But there's also in the top right or the top left corner, there's a bunch of Johto Pokemon. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to join this chorus of people that are like, it's a hint. And,
do you think if they made a Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee 2 that took place in Johto, do you think you'd be able to go back to Kanto? Or do you think they'd cut that?
Oh.
Because that's a question that we're so far out here now, but like, that's something that I was curious about.
To Johto. Like, I think you have to have that. That's what makes Gen 2 so special.
I do too. I mean, I agree. It's my favorite part of that game originally was finding out that I could go back to Kanto and do all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if like maybe because Pokemon Let's Go had like a slightly different story, and like some of the gameplay was a little bit different. And I'm curious if maybe they'll do that, and that concerns me.
The further we get from Let's Go, the less I think that it would be a Let's Go style remake, just because I think that while Let's Go was pretty successful, I think it was very much intended for the Pokemon Go audience to kind of jump on the Pokemon game train for
Right.
Switch, being the first Pokemon RPG on Switch. So that's why I don't think it would necessarily be in the Let's Go style. I mean, I'm like one of those people. I want the one Tamriel of Pokemon. I want to be able to go to every region. I am too invested in that sort of thing. But if I'm calling it now, if this is my prediction, I would say it's not a Let's Go style. It is its own kind of like if it is a Johto remake, it would be its own kind of Johto remake. Specifically utilizing what the Switch can do, Johto being such a popular generation, that would be my biggest wish.
That's my biggest wish too.
Yeah.
Do you ever
That's what I
think
want
about
from it.
like how they could connect them all? Where it's like, okay, well you could take the train from like this region to this region, and then you could take like the boat over there to that. Like I also think about that a lot, about how you could connect all those maps together.
I thought about it with frickin' Sword and Shield, because there's a train line.
Yes.
And it's in Britain, and there's I'm messing up my hair, I'm so agitated. And there's games set in France.
Yeah,
and I'm
Unova.
like, where's the Chunnel?
It's right there. We could just go over there.
I want to take the Chunnel, the Poke Chunnel.
You mean the Channel Tunnel? What? Oh, ignore me. Sorry, I'm spacing out. I've had a weird day.
I mean,
when you
like,
said when you said Chunnel, I was like, do you mean the Channel Tunnel? Is that a thing that people call it? And I just never knew that. Because I'm thinking of the actual Channel Tunnel in the UK to France. Ignore me.
Wait, I thought is it not called the Chunnel?
The tunnel that connects the UK to France?
Yeah,
I've never heard that
for
before.
literally over 10 years that it was called the Chunnel.
I've never ever heard anyone say that.
Well, we got a name for this episode.
I thought
Secret Chunnel. Dude, that's not what it's called.
So I've
thought since high school that it was called that.
I've honestly never heard anyone ever say that.
I think I was being bullied, dude.
You've been tricked. You've fully been
I
tricked.
think I was being lied to and bullied.
Is this like when we told Mike Mahadi that
the Channel Tunnel,
Also called
occasionally referred to as the Chunnel.
Yeah. Eurostar.com refers to it as the Chunnel.
is this just for Americans?
I think
Americans are too stupid to remember two words, Lucy.
or maybe Lucy she's no longer British anymore.
That's true. Maybe
She doesn't
I'm just no
remember
longer.
the name.
Chunnel.org.uk. That's the website.
Chunnel?
I'm so relieved.
I've genuinely never heard anyone say Chunnel.
Maybe it's one of those things where like most locals don't actually say that.
Yeah,
Kinda
We
like
don't
how
call
in-
it San Fran.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
call it San Fran or Frisco
Yeah.
or anything like that.
We would say you get the Eurostar, or you'd go through the Channel Tunnel, so to go to Paris. But like Channel Tunnel is more like you drive, or you get on and then you're taken through, and then Eurostar is the actual train.
See, in America, we also don't have trains like that.
That's true.
So we
Where's
don't
our
know
channel?
anything about anything.
Where's our channel?
Where's our
Anyway,
freaking train?
let's move on. Let's keep going here. We got some listener questions. If you've got any questions for us, you can email us at afterdarkpodcast@gamespot.com, or you can join our Discord server. To do that, just message any one of us on Twitter or email us, and we will get you right in there as soon as possible. First question's from Adam on Discord. Lucy, do you want to take this first one?
I was listening to the Jet Set Radio Future soundtrack this morning, and it made me wonder, if a new game in an all but abandoned franchise was announced, what franchise would that need to be for you to buy day one without a second thought?
Splinter Cell. I just wanted to say Splinter Cell on this podcast. That's why I included this.
Is that all but abandoned though? They put Sam Fisher in Ghost Recon.
reimagined it.
It's abandoned.
Yeah.
If my man's shown up in Ghost Recon, they've abandoned it.
I feel like this is an easy one, but anything from Konami, like, Castlevania,
Yeah.
I'd get. I guess it depends, though. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it'd be an instant buy though, because I don't know if I would trust Konami.
I don't know, because it's kind of happening for my one. I would love a new Bioshock. They have said that they're making one. What's a dead franchise?
I mean, originally my go-to would be Psychonauts 2 and a new Beyond Good and Evil. And they announced the Psychonauts 2 a couple years ago, which I'm very excited for. And they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yes.
Knights of the Old Republic.
That's all I have to say about
That's
that.
what I'll say. That's my answer, is Knights of the Old Republic.
That's a good one.
If they made a new Knights of the Old Republic,
Yes.
instantly.
That's 100% my answer.
Does Mass Effect count? Is that abandoned?
I was thinking that
It's
too.
only been 4 years. I think. What's limitations on a franchise being abandoned? Like 10 years? That's an age in game time. I would so.
Yeah, I would
Probably
say
like a
so.
generation. Like
Yeah.
a console
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a whole new game in a generation.
Well, then Splinter Cell works for this thing.
It does.
Because the last one was on 360.
Oh yeah,
Didn't
wow.
get one.
So does KOTOR count then, because we have the Old Republic?
I would still
I
say
don't
it
give a shit
counts
about.
because Old Republic they haven't supported. I mean, I think it's still up, but they haven't like added
Yeah.
content to it
For
in
a
a
while.
and, like,
Yeah.
I just like MMOs intimidate me so much that
Yeah,
I just couldn't.
MMOs.
I was like I
And it's just it's not the
can't do it.
same. I tried playing it and it's like it's not
Yeah.
the same thing.
Okay, so KOTOR counts is what we've
All right,
established.
I have I have another shitty answer. Elder Scrolls 6.
That's. I mean, they are working on it.
Yeah,
They're working on it.
It's been almost a decade though.
Every
It's
time they
been
port Skyrim, it just
84
resets that
years.
clock.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm just fortunate enough that a lot of the franchises I care about have continued. I mean, I guess like I played a lot of Tycoon games and they have kind of died off, but there's like Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo to
Right.
kind of like replace them. Or like, I would love for there to be a good Sim City. We have City Skylines.
I was gonna say City Skylines.
Yeah,
so
that last SimCity.
That's another shitty answer, but that last Sim City was rough.
Yeah. I remember getting that day one and being
Same.
very, very sad about
That
it.
was. Oh.
Well, anyway.
All right, I guess we'll move on. Kallie, do you want to read the next one?
Sure, I love the way this is introed. Shalom, After Dark and Solitude crew. As a 36-year-old gamer dad, I thought the coronavirus quarantine is the best time to start playing video games with my 3.5-year-old son. So I've handed him a PS4 controller, not the 500 million edition of course, that's mine, and launched LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Beside the tantrum sessions, when I tell him we need to close the game, we're having a great time together. I know some of you boys and girls grew up to gamer parents, and I wanted to know what it's like. Any pros, cons, sad, happy moments, and stories you'd like to share? Keep up the great work and stay safe. That's from Liren or
I think it's
Lyran?
Liron.
Liran from Israel. P.S. The chemistry between you is something to envy at. Thank you so much for the
you.
letter.
Yeah, thank you for writing in.
I played games with my dad. He bought a new PC to play a very specific edition of Worms when it came out. We would play Tomb Raider, Quake, but he was very he would play 007 Nightfire with me, and we'd play Gran Turismo and stuff together. But at the same time, we'd have a great time. But I do have a flashbulb memory of him making me cry because we were playing a Golf 95, and I was so shit at it. I couldn't get the timing down to hit the swing, and he made me cry. So, the pros and cons of a gamer parent there.
I was gonna say, like, my parents pretty much had no interest in video games until my dad found out that they made video games based on World War II.
Uh,
And then Medal of Honor became like a very big thing for a while. Like I remember, like one day he went and bought all of the Medal of Honor games he could get on Xbox. And then I remember the main reason I sold him on the 360 was I was like, Call of Duty 2, day one, you should take a look at this. And we played a bunch of like split screen and stuff with other friends, and like that, I'd say like playing World War II games was like what did the trick. But before that, my parents were like, "This is gonna rot your brain. We've got no interest in any of this. We'll get them for you so you can, I don't know, talk about them with your friends on the playground or whatever." But other than that, they were not interested.
Both of my parents played video games. My mom would talk about playing like arcade games at the bowling alley growing up and stuff. And my mom and dad have very different gaming tastes, I would say. So like my dad is really just into shooters. Like that's his number one thing. He's been playing shooters as long as I can remember.
Our Call of Duty correspondent,
Rick. And he showed me like Doom and Quake. I remember he had this mod for Quake that put Simpsons characters into the game. On our old, like our gateway desktop in the computer room.
oh yeah.
Remember those?
Yes.
We used to call that the computer room too.
Yeah.
It was technically, I think, his office. But
See, in the UK we'd call it a study.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the same kind
Study.
of room. My mom was really into Galaga, which is where I get my love of that game from. She bought herself a Game Boy Advance SP to specifically play Namco Arcade Museum. And then she borrowed my brother's DS to play Brain Age just because of the Sudoku. But my mom also was really into platformers, so we played Banjo-Kazooie together. But my mom has never been into the violent stuff, really. And one of my favorite, like it sucked at the time, but one of my favorite memories is my dad got GTA 3, and me and my brother, who's 4 years younger than me, so he was really young at the time, we were all playing. The PS2 was in my parents' room, and I had the GameCube in my room. So we were all in my parents' room playing, and my mom found out that there were prostitutes in the game and stuff. So she took away GTA 3, not just from me and my brother, but also from my dad. And I found that copy of GTA 3 when my parents were moving, and that was just like, oh yeah, this was the troublemaker game. Let's go.
My parents never really were into games, but my dad was always really into like having like the coolest new hardware. So he would always be really into like buying like the newest computer with like the best graphics card, and so he would always be like interested in games from a technical standpoint. So he'd be like, "Oh, I heard this game has like the best graphics, and like you should get it and play it." And he would like come over, so I'd be like, "Hey, Dad, come check this new game out I got. Like, look how good it looks." And he would always like be excited to just like see how visually good games would look, which is kind of interesting. Like he bought a PlayStation 3 just for the Blu-ray player. Like I came home.
That's what my dad did.
I came home one day because like I never owned a console as a kid. It was like PC and I owned a Game Boy, and then like finally around like 2006, I like bought my own Xbox 360, and then like I was like, "Yep, this will be my one console." And then like, yeah, well, it must have been like a couple months later or whatever when the PS3 came out. Like, I just came home one day and my dad just had a PS3 there, and he's like, "I bought a PS3. I wanted the Blu-ray player, but here you go. You can play some games now." I was like, "Oh, okay." But one memory I do have of playing games is my mom is like the huge Star Wars fan. It's like her favorite thing of all time. So I played.
Like she named you after Jean-Luc Picard, so that's a little confusing.
Well, she also loves Star Trek as well. And I also think there aren't any good like, you know.
Yeah, Han Seipke.
Yeah.
Luke Seipke.
Oh, right,
true.
Luke.
Put it on Luke. maybe that was like secretly her like way of like doubling up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like Han Luke Seipke.
But I ended up playing Knights of the Republic with her. It's like years later after it came out, I was just like, hey mom, do you want to like play this game? Because like, you know, I think it's like it's such a good Star Wars story. And she was like, yeah, I want to try it. So like, I actually had her play it, and I like walked her through how to play it, and like that's a really fond memory I have.
Did she love it?
She did. She really liked it. Yeah.
Aww. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Very wholesome. All right.
Oh, wait, I have a really quick one.
Okay, go ahead.
I told my mom likes platformers and puzzle games. I told my mom about Candy Crush, right? She ended up spending some money on Candy Crush.
Oh,
and
no.
I was in college. My dad called me and was like, "What the fuck have you done?" And my mom's counterpoint to that was, "You buy a new Call of Duty every year. That's $60. Why can't I spend money on Candy Crush?" And he was like, fair point. And then it never came up again.
Wow. Got him, though.
She really did.
Got him.
Got him.
All right, last question comes from Triceratops from the Discord. This is kind of similar to what we answered before, but is there a game you would love to wish into existence? It can be anything at all, like a canceled game, a remake of a game, or even a game of your own imagination. I would like to wish a new Final Fantasy main series game, but it returns to the NES roots, both combat and graphically. So I guess the only caveat would be don't pick a dead franchise or something like that, since we already kind of answered that. Like, I can't say Splinter Cell as much as I want to say Splinter Cell.
I know mine already.
All right, go for it.
I want a GTA-style game, but you play as the sex worker.
Ooh.
That's what I want. I want
think
that
we've
so
talked about this pitch before.
Ah, you have. I've heard this pitch. I'd play that.
I'm going to keep repeating
played.
it until it happens. It's what I want. I also want my Hideo Kojima dating sim where you play as Hideo Kojima and you pick from a suite of boys. Where's that? I know they're all
make it.
real people, which is why that doesn't work.
But still, Hideo Kojima's best friend simulator. I think,
Exactly.
Too.
Exactly.
My game actually was Silent Hills, so. That's,
Good
but I
transition.
feel like that's an easy one, just because PT was.
But it's one we have to talk about. Right?
Yeah.
My game is in Yakuza 5, there's a whole arc of that game where you play as a character who is a upcoming idol. And so instead of like combat, everything in the game is like rhythm mini games, and it's like you have like street battles where you like dance offs, and you have like mini games where you're doing like signings and stuff like that. So I would want that expanded to a full game where you play as Hatsune Miku, and you're like wandering around like you're like virtual Hatsune Miku who like somehow has the ability to walk around, and you have to like live the life of Hatsune Miku and do concerts and signings, and I don't know, something happens and maybe you end up fighting people. I don't know.
That would kill Michael. That would
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was
That
gonna
is
say.
Michael's game.
Yeah. Speaking of Yakuza, though, I also just want to put it out there that I would love a standalone cabaret club game,
Oh yeah, like a mobile game. Yeah, just
like a mobile
just make
game
it
where
on
I
the phone.
manage the cabaret
Yes,
club.
absolutely.
I'd pay real money for that.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm thinking, but I can't think of anything.
What about that Halo
you-
game you came up with in your dream?
Oh,
Oh
that's true.
yeah.
That's true. My Halo Breath of the Wild fusion sort of style game, which I think would be pretty cool, and in VR, but it didn't have to be in VR. That's the game I want.
Also, Jake, I feel like you don't have an answer because Neil Druckmann made a game based on your brain.
That's true, and I was about to say why, but I
Me
can't.
too.
So
I had to stop myself, but you'll find out if you listen to the spoiler cast.
if you listen to this podcast, and when you guys play it, I'm sure you'll be like, oh.
Yeah,
I get
I'll
it
drop a
now.
note
Okay,
in
yeah,
when I experience it. I'm going to be playing this weekend.
But like, yeah, as I was playing that game, I remember texting Kallie, and I was like, I think Neil Druckmann is inside of my head somehow, because he made two creative decisions that I would have definitely made. I probably wouldn't have done it nearly as well as he did, but I was like, yeah, if I made a game, I would definitely have both of these things in it, and they're very specific. Like, probably, I doubt there are many people who play this game who would, like, probably be like, oh yeah, those two things are what I want in a game.
I'm gonna message you because I think I know what one it is. I think I saw Greg playing this moment. I will message you and see if I got it right.
All right. I think that's it though. That's it for episode 46. Thank you all so much for tuning in to GameSpot After Dark each and every week. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna rotate the cast a little bit. See how that goes. We've got some more guests planned too. I think next week we're going to try to have Jeff Bacalar on, which should be fun. I haven't talked to him yet, but apparently Timur has. So if he doesn't show up next week,
then it's on Tam.
It's a different week. It's a Tam goof. But anyway, Lucy, what are you working on and where can people find you?
I've been doing a bunch of Play for All streams. Been working on that with Tam and Chastity, booking 6 weeks worth of guests. Next week, ones to look out for Thursday. Unannounced, but it's going to be very big. We'll be promoting that from Monday. And we have the last podcast on the left, guys, which I'm very excited about. We were streaming Dark Souls with Marcus Parks the other day. So much fun. So Henry's going to be joining with Marcus, and we're going to do some, like, what's the game? It's like an FMV game, and you have to guess if people are lying and solve a crime. So very excited to put that to the test. I think it's called, like, Confusion or Conundrum?
Contraception.
Contradiction.
Contraception.
Contraception. The game. So we're playing that with them next week. Please tune in.
Is very good.
Donate for Black Lives Matter as well as Direct Relief. And I'm on Twitter at Lucy James Games.
Kallie, how about you?
I'm going to be on one of the Play for All charity streams on, today, Friday.
Yeah.
If you are listening right when this episode goes up, it'll be a little bit later, so check that out. And then like I said, I'm working on the Isle of Armor review, and then I've also put up the review for The Last of Us Part 2 that contains spoilers. I would not suggest even clicking on it if you don't want to be spoiled, because I mentioned a spoilery thing very, very close to the top of the page after the spoiler warning. So just to be extra careful, the thumbnail isn't going to have any spoilers or anything, so don't worry about that. And Jake cut the spoiler-free video review, which you can watch, and then Evan handled the spoilery video review. Totally unprecedented thing that we're trying for this, just because this game kind of warrants it. So, it's juggling a lot.
And Jean-Luc, what about you?
Not too much. I'm mostly just doing behind-the-scenes stuff for Play for All, both recording interviews and helping out Tay on the tech side. I think I'm going to try and take some weight off his shoulders, hopefully soon. I think that man is getting very, very exhausted. He's been putting in so much work. So huge shout out to Tay. He doesn't get enough love for how much he does behind the scenes on the tech side of that. But otherwise, I'm sure in the coming weeks I'll be working on some stuff.
Cool. And then for me, I'm doing Last of Us stuff. There's going to be a couple Last of Us videos that'll go up on embargo and throughout the next couple days, including the spoiler chat. So there'll be plenty of Last of Us 2 stuff going up on site that you'll want to check out. And then the other thing, Jean-Luc, you're actually part of this too, is, I think I could talk about this, is we're going to have the creative, I guess, lead on Skyblivion. That big Skyrim mod. He's going to be on for a stream with us, and we're going to check that out, which is super exciting. For those who don't know, it's basically a team trying to recreate Oblivion in Skyrim's engine, and what they've done so far is super impressive. So I think that'll be fun. Make sure to check that out if you can.
That's Tuesday, 9 a.m. PT, right?
Yep. Tuesday, 9 a.m. If all things go as planned. We're going to do a technical test this weekend, or early next week, and we'll see. But anyway, that's it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.